It was 6 months after that initial phone call from his girlfriend that Chad lost his battle to depression. And on April 15th in 2004, a month before his graduation, he died by suicide. As his parents, we have vowed to be his voice, to raise awareness, education, and money for research for this tragic loss of our children. I have learned since then that we lose more children to suicide than the top 8 leading causes of medical death combined. That in every classroom within that year, 1 out of 12 students will attempt a suicide. Well, welcome to CHADS Coalition.
Thanks.
First day. We're so excited to have you, David.
Excited to be here. Hey, David.
Yeah.
See you.
Stay down.
So,
All right. So what's the overall goal here? Just
Let's
clear out
move
this basic area and.
yeah, this here, and then the toys and stuff. Let's just move to that side because Brandon can go through it then.
2009 was a really great year for CHADS Coalition. We hired 3 full-time employees. Our first one was David, who we hired to coordinate the door project. And then we were able to pay Marion as our executive director, who's been serving without pay for 5 years. However, Marion, being Marion, donated her entire salary to hire a development director, Tim. So we're very excited about this progress.
Chad's work gloves. Some of this stuff we're going to hang his memorabilia.
If you look at the organization's mission, it's to carry the message out, provide tools and resources for individuals who are struggling with this so that they can recognize and respond if they see signs within themselves, and for individuals so that if they see signs within others that they can do something to help. And then finally to help families who are having a child who is going through these issues so that we save lives, and ultimately that's what we're trying to do, is save the lives of our teens.
Mickey goes after the fish, Sydney goes after the tadpoles and frogs. Larry McCord, please. McCord, M-C-C-O-R-D.
Tell me a presenter.
Yeah, we're presenting. Great.
Here's your lanyard to put that on.
Okay.
Here's a bag with your program and a button in it, and you're set to go for the day.
Super, thank you.
And your name.
Marianne McCord?
But one of the interesting facts, particularly with the pediatricians, they prescribe 80% of the antidepressants that kids get.
Right.
And
so they have to be aware of the extent of the problem.
And they're not trained like a psychiatrist to know all the ins and the outs and what sequence of drugs you need to give them and how to look after them and everything.
Medications for kids is incredibly difficult too, because kids' bodies are changing constantly.
Yes.
So even if you get it right, and 3 months later, their chemistry is all different.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean that should be a specialty in and of itself.
And there's maybe 1 or 2 that are really FDA approved for kids, but they prescribe the whole set that adults get to the kids.
It's not appropriate.
And frequently, kids have different reactions to the drugs than the adults do.
Right.
So the research program that I've been running at Washington University is focused on very early identification of mood disorders and specifically depression. So we've been studying depression in kids 3 to 6 years old for almost 20 years and sort of addressing the question of can kids that young become depressed, and basically finding that yes, they can, and that the clinical characteristics are developmentally adjusted, but they're basically the same as depression looks throughout the lifespan. And the reason why it's so important to identify mental disorders disorders, and particularly depression, very, very early in life, at the earliest possible point, is because there's now a lot of evidence that suggests that a lot of medical disorders and some mental disorders are actually more treatable early in life.
We had someone do the actual waterscape, and Marion does most of the landscaping, and my sons and I built the gazebo. Typically, I'm not saying in all cases, but typically, an adolescent suicide is not impulsive. It's planned out. They think about the idea, then they work out a plan, actually work through the details of what time am I going to do it, where am I going to do it, how am I going to do it. It could take weeks. Part of that plan is frequently they have certain people they want to say goodbye to. And finally, they will actually carry out the plan. So in that time period of working this all out, you do have time for a crisis intervention. If you do some sort of intervention or treatment in that time period, you can potentially save their lives.
I started high school and I really never picked up on pool. I can play it, but just not the best.
You say you haven't played since since you left high school. Do you guys have a ping pong table at school?
Not in our fraternity.
Oh, you don't have one at your fraternity?
Do you have room for one?
Not really.
You want to get rid of it?
No.
You're just
That would
wondering?
be a fun thing for a fraternity to have, a ping pong table.
Probably wouldn't be used for much ping pong.
Cards?
Other type of pong.
There's beer pong.
Oh, beer pong. Does beer pong anything to do with ping pong?
Started here in January, so it has not been a long time. Was just super motivated when I met Mary McCord and Larry at a conference downtown and started talking to them. And they were actually one of the organizations I wanted to learn more about. I had been talking to someone I was at a seminar with, and she had mentioned doing some volunteer work for CHADS. And I lost my son to suicide a little over 5 years ago. As CHADS Coalition, here's what we feel is doing it right. You need to educate the teachers. You have to coordinate with the counselors, because who are the kids going to come and talk to?
And I think the SOS program is very therapeutic as far as it opens the door for these kids to talk about it. And they learn so much. It's so difficult as an adult, as a survivor, to sort through it. The grief is very, very complicated. And for a child to have to walk through that is huge, huger.
The one really big development that we had just a couple weeks ago was we made a connection with St. Louis County Police. They have a crisis intervention team, CIT unit, that responds to mental health crisis situations. And the gentleman who's in charge of that whole program, we made a connection with him, and now he is sending us all the reports that they get that involve an individual that's in the age range that we serve. So 3, 4, 5 reports a week that are families that are really perfectly suited for our services. So that's been really helpful.
And one thing that Marion likes to quote, back maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, in the Parade magazine, the Ask Marilyn section. Marilyn's a native of Kirkwood or something, and she's supposed to be the smartest person in the world. They asked the question of what would have the biggest effect a cure for cancer or a cure for a mental illness. And she said by far, a cure for mental illness would have a much bigger effect on the world than a cure for cancer, because it affects so many more people, has such a major economic impact on the world. But the mental health system is broken.
CHADS Coalition does a number of fundraisers. However, Kids Walking for Kids is our signature event that raises the most money for us each year.
Concludes 2010 Kids Walking for Kids. On behalf of the 2010 Kids Walking for Kids Committee, thank you so much for attending and supporting it. I will soon get started in 2011, and we hope to see you all next year and bring some more people. Thank you, God bless, and drive safe.
So that's actually what we're testing in this CHADS funded study. We put these very young kids into the functional magnetic resonance imager, and we show them pictures of faces, we show them different kinds of videos, and then we actually record their brain activation. Now, the reason why that's so exciting, and I mean, I really actually had to kind of twist the arms of my collaborators to do it, mostly my functional imager, because Dr. Boderin is one of your CHADS-funded investigators, and I've been working with her for a while, is because most people believed children under 6 would not, nobody has tried to scan children under 6 because they move a lot in the scanner, they might be afraid of the scanner, whatever the case may be. But since my research group has had so much experience working with young children, we actually have developed, because of the CHADS study, we developed a number of different methods to make the children more comfortable with the scanning approach and with the scanning technique. One thing that we did is we made videos of the experience, showing another child going through it, showing them, they get pictures of their brain at the end. They can scan a stuffed animal before they go into the scanner. And the bottom line is, to the real shock of our collaborators, we've had tremendous success obtaining the data in this study. So we've had just a tremendously high success rate thus far.
That's exciting, and I see the benefit of that, of course. I guess my goal is that we would get to a point where we've done such a great job that we need to close our doors because there's not an issue.